Yo, what's going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at my song Bailo. Today we're going to be focusing on the drop layering. I think I have a pretty cool theory for you guys to try and apply in your own drop. Kind of a step-by-step process almost. And yeah, if you want the full in-depth breakdown, intro, both drops, breakdown, outro, plus a sample pack made out of sounds from this song, head over to my Patreon, go check it out. And speaking of Patreon, thank you to everyone who has supported me on there so far. It means so much to me. I've been making these YouTube videos for about a year now, and I don't make a single penny from them. I make them because I love to, and because this is how I learned production when I was starting out, so this is kind of my way of giving back. So yeah, if you want to kind of show support, Patreon's the best way. I'm doing monthly sample packs, exclusive production videos, unreleased music, one-on-one lessons, feedback, and more. I try to drop something new every single week on there for you guys, so if you want to support me a little further, that's the best way to do it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Before we jump into these layers, let's just give it a quick listen from the build here. We could listen to this sidechain group isolated. So for this video, this group right here, that is what we're going to be focused on for this video, this kind of layering technique I'm using. So for the fake out, it's just this one sample, and I consider this first one as kind of the lead. Just gonna get some reverb on it, auto filter, fade it out as this fake out happens, and then here's where the layering is. So this is kind of interesting. I started off my production journey making future bass, and as you may know, in future bass, like, layering is super important. Here's what I think is kind of interesting. And one thing you learn is you don't want to just stack supersaw after supersaw after supersaw to make your like melodic chord stack. You want to use probably a super saw, and then maybe a square, and then maybe something organic like a choir, maybe some guitar layers, and then probably a couple of pads, right? And then your leads. So I kind of think of heavy trap production in a similar fashion. Now, obviously you're not using super saws, but you want to use different sounds, so like I wouldn't want to stack. Let's just go through these layer by layer then, right? So this first one, I consider it the tonal lead layer. Right there at peak 7, that's kind of the note it's playing. Do, 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 do. Now obviously I got like a shifter moving it around. I'm also pitching the individual samples around. But now I'm thinking of this as my lead layer that's kind of in this range. Like, yes, it has this noise up here, but that's not really crucial to the sound in terms of it's not defining the tonality of it. So I have this lead layer up here. Now I'm going to try to support that the same way you would support a saw stack with like mid basses and with organic sounds and pads. So let's listen to this next one I have here. Off the bat, way different, right? But it complements it nicely because this sound is very, very wide. I mean, it's like really buzzy. You can see how kind of the waveforms are pretty offset. And you see I'm cutting out that space for that tonal peak there. So that's the next one. And also for this group processing is pretty important, which we'll get to once I cover all the layers. The next one here is another one from my pack. So now this one, whereas these two didn't really have any important information in this high range, this one definitely does. I mean, that is some really crispy white noise. If I boost this, and if we take it a step further just to demonstrate, cut off all this stuff, like that's some really nice crispy noise, right? So that's what I'm kind of getting from this one. Now this next one I'm thinking of is kind of my low mid support layer. So you can see this one is cut to 90. This one is cut way higher, like 600. This one's cut at like 800. Now this one all of a sudden has some stuff here between 100 to 300, 400 important information there. So we got this sound. Now this sound does have some nice crispy high end, but I know I'm already getting it from this sound plus the hats, so there's no need to boost that. I did a little boost, and I kind of took it right back down. And I also took down the width of this one, 50%. See, without this, it's really nice. It's really wide, but like this sound I had up here was super wide. This one's also fairly wide. So I kind of wanted to tuck this mid bass. You know, it's sitting a little lower. It's sitting around right here. I wanted to tuck it a little more mono. Then we got one more layer here. This one's kind of an all-arounder, honestly. I just felt like it needed one more thing. And also, let me mention, the process for this is not like I need to get 5 sounds. Like, no, it's just over time as you develop the song. You know, I started with this, added some more layers elsewhere, and I'm like, all right, the lead needs more. And every time you kind of iterate, and eventually you get a stack, similarly to how you'd end up with a stack in, you know, future bass or melodic bass. You end up with a nice stack. And I think this last one, where it really shines, has almost like a Foley type of coin sound up here. You know, something kind of sharp a little bit. So that sits nicely on top of everything in this group. And as you can see, all these samples just have EQs on them for this entire stack. It's very, very simple. This one is just for the second drop. I think it's just an octave higher. No, just doing some cool like shifter stuff. But yeah, like all these, like I barely processed any of these. You know, some of these were my samples that I had made in previous projects. And then here you see this orange layer. You can't even hear that, but this is just a sub bass. So this is now where the group processing portion comes into play. See, so if I turn off that low cut, now you could, if you're on headphones, you could probably hear the sub bass. It's very punchy. I'm just automating the level of it. Now what that's doing, once this is off, is it is gonna crunch all these layers together. So now you have all these layers without sub, plus the sub going through a multiband compression. Should have Camel Crusher on, although I made this project on a different computer and I don't have Camel Crusher on this computer, but you could use something like Rift or probably just a normal saturator. And to demonstrate what the sub does a little further, see I have it automated here, but if I cranked the volume of that sine wave coming through, you could see how all the layers now get crunched really nicely. Let's return that. And that crunch is also determined by the shape of the sub. So you could see I had it kind of plucky to try and match these basses here. Now a lot of them start like on the dot, but I have the sub bass kind of starting a little later. So it takes like, you know, a couple milliseconds to kick in. But we could just mess with this and see what happens. See, now that's a bit crunchier. Let's also boost it. So now it's kind of like the whole thing is really crunchy, like a little too long. So that's why I had it kind of lower. See, it's really fun to just mess with this, the shape and also the level to get like the optimal crunch. So yeah, as you can see, it's automated. So what I did there for the turnaround, I boosted this boy 6 dB. Let's play this part in context. So just this part, I have it like way cranked. So it's kind of this moment without the drums. So that's pretty cool, right? And if I kept this way up, it would have just been too much. It's kind of cool, but it's not exactly the style I was going for in this song. This could be cool in a different track to just really let like the distortion be major part of your sound design. So yeah, that's a cool fun tip there with the sub. The reverb is, I have 2 reverbs. One is on, I think it's usually on 10%, yeah, except for like the pre-drop at 2 seconds just to put everything in the same space. And then this one I use for, see it's at 5 seconds, much higher. I use this one for throws, like right here. And then, yeah, the saturator. So I'm saturating the entire group by 5 dB. And that's where that sub comes into play. You know, you're kind of crunching it together through this saturator. And the shifter is just doing little pitch automations. And then to wrap it all off at the end of this chain here, the EQ, this just shapes the top end, but then critical here is I'm cutting the sub, because obviously if I kept it, I guess you could keep it, but I prefer to have my sub separate, so I have a different sub layer, yeah, way down here. And it's just a really clean one, you know, not super loud, no low mids. It's a FM sub, but I'll save that for the Patreon. And then one more layer of noise. So I guess let's include the sub here in the stack to really get the full effect. That's pretty much it for this main like layering stack that I have here. So the key points to take away was put a sub bass in the group and then saturate it and then cut the lows after all the processing. And you could fine tune the volume of the sub layer you have and also the shape of it to get that crunch exactly where you want it from all the layers. And then besides that, there's going to be like some background stuff, like this is literally just white noise on the kick hits. Really helps actually with like the impact. And then I have some backgroundy stuff. Really nice background one for my pack. Just kind of sits above everything. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this layering technique that I wanted to cover. Like I said in the beginning, full in-depth breakdown plus sample pack is up on my Patreon. So if that interests you, please go consider checking it out. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Go stream the song. More coming soon, and we'll see you later.